Jeff Hardy has explained the erratic behavior that he displayed at the WWE house show that led him to getting released, and has also talked a little bit about his time towards the end of his WWE run. I am Luke Owen, DAD, the real Jam That Champion, and I'm joined by the real hardest working person in all of sports infotainment, in the comfiest clothes you can possibly imagine, Denise Salcedo. How's it going, Denise?
I feel like today I'm like the laziest person on planet Earth, actually. I didn't want to come on in like regular people clothes today. I just needed to feel it's cold today. I woke up and I didn't want to get up because it was just so cold.
What do you mean it's cold today? Like, define
I
cold.
don't know. Like, I woke up and my house was cold, and I was like, "Oh no, this is not going to do." And so I like actually changed. This like wasn't my pajamas. I changed. So I changed into I was not wearing like regular on camera pajamas. These pajamas are for on camera.
Oh, these are your fancy pajamas.
These are my fancy pajamas. Thank you. Yes, exactly. Not my real ones. My real ones I can't sleep in this, to be honest. I'll get really sweaty.
And as Zach says here, we have got Denise Salcedo, Giraffe Edition.
Yeah. Have you ever seen how giraffes fight, by the way, with their necks?
Oh, neck whipping?
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Right? It's kind of brutal. Hurts your own neck seeing that. But anyway, so Luke, I'll neck whip you today if
Don't
you
be
act
neck
up.
whipping me, Denise. We're supposed to be friends here. This is
way.
supposed to be a nice
I'm trying to neck whip you all the way in London.
I don't even live in London anymore.
Well, I forget where you live, but you're forever in London to me.
Oh, I like this from Sid. Jam that jammies.
Jam that, and they're like full on too. Like there's no like, And then
they are like.
It gets better. Hold on. It gets better. Wait.
Okay. We'll see. I'll believe it when I see it.
It gets better. Can you?
She's wearing cute bunny slippers.
And so I'm on top. The whole thing is a giraffe, and then the bottom are bunnies.
So about like 10 or so years ago here in the United Kingdom, we had like a phase where people were wearing onesies all the time. And it was just like, it was the thing to be done was just to like wear onesies, and Primark was selling various types of onesies to buy. And it was a phase, and it very quickly died out. And I never thought again I would see anyone actually wearing a onesie. And yet here I am.
I gotta tell you, I feel like onesies are not like you only really see them around Christmas time. Like every family during Christmas does that one photo where they're all wearing onesies, right? And so this is actually my first pair of onesies. So I feel like because it's my first pair, it's okay. If I had like a second pair, it'd be too much.
I also thought as well that you were just trying to, because I've said recently on episodes that I'm doing this show with Wendy Chu because you have just shown up in your pajamas and stuff. I was like, is Denise trying to one up the gimmick now?
Well, here's the thing. I would not be on here in my onesie and bunny slippers if it wasn't for Wendy Chu. Like if Wendy Chu was not a wrestling character, I would not be here dressed this way. So thank God for Wendy Chu, because now I can say, well, I'm just cosplaying Wendy Chu.
Right, well, let's get into the main portion of this podcast. So speaking of podcasts, earlier today, John Alba's show that he does with Matt Hardy aired their latest episode. They premiered it on YouTube, in fact, this morning here in the UK time. And it was the first time that Matt and Jeff were talking together and, talking about Jeff's time in WWE, Jeff going across to All Elite Wrestling and this, that, and the other. Before we dive into that, Denise, I wanted to ask you, I know you did the dance on your Figure 4 show when Jeff made his debut. But how have you found Jeff's, like his 2 weeks that he's had in All Elite Wrestling?
Simple and straight to the point. He's come out, done the greatest hits. So I posted that joke on Twitter about when his brother was getting beat up and him coming out and making his debut and still having time to dance. I swear to God, that thing got over 20,000 likes, by the way. it was like one of my most popular liked tweets ever. So I was like, yes, I'm funny. Well, technically Jeff Hardy is funny, but whatever. But anyway, so I mean, that was fine. Like the way that he was introduced, it was a nice little haha moment when him coming out and dancing. And then afterwards, that hug, though, that hug with their expressions. I mean, like it was a very expressionable hug. And then on top of that, we were back, the following week, they sent out a couple hours before the show actually premiered, came on TV, 5:00. So anyway, so prior to the Dynamite starting, AEW sent out a press release basically letting everybody know, like, hey, tonight we're going to see the Hardy Boys. They're going to be making their in-ring debut together as a team in AEW. And I was like, okay, they're really making sure that this feels like a big deal by going out and being official and sending out a press release for it. So, that was exciting. I thought that Private Party was a good team to go ahead and kick them off in their, first match together as a team. From the looks of it, they're going as the Hardys and not the Hardy Boys. So that's cool too. But it feels pretty legit because, they got the music. When they came out to the outfits, like Matt Hardy seriously looks like 10 years younger. I don't know how.
Amazing, isn't it? I don't know how it happened, but just by wearing that tight t-shirt and those like cargo pants, and I was like, oh, it's 1999 again.
Exactly. So good for them. I mean, I thought that, again, like Jeff hit all his greatest hits in the match itself. And I think that's what people wanted to see. They just wanted to have like a feel-good nostalgia moment.
So that they are the conversation of Jeff doing the dance while his brother was getting beaten up actually came up in the interview. Jeff says here, the reaction was the best form of adrenaline and energy from wrestling fans. That pop, as they call it, I let out the energy and that yell, and I was so torn because I was saving my brother and my biggest hero Sting and this new guy Darby Allin, and I just met him that day, and I was like, this is really happening. I'm about to debut in AEW. Matt told me, take your time and do the dance. But I was like, but I have to save my brother. I think it worked out pretty perfectly. It was just overwhelming. And I'll be glad when I have patience. I can do a patient entrance and I can absorb the atmosphere. Matt says, apparently the dance is called the Doogie. So the more you know.
It has a name this whole time?
It's called the Doogie. I mean, I just thought it because it was given to them by Michael Hayes because it was a Freebird thing. So I just thought it was the Freebird. But anyway, it's called the Doogie.
I just thought it was the Hardy Boys dance. That was it.
So Matt says, doing the Doogie on the run was a compromise. The music was going to be such a big moment. Fans were going to be out of their minds. And I wanted him to do the Doogie as he's the big star. Do the full entrance, even though they're beating my ass. It wasn't on him. If it was up to him, he would have run in. It was up to me. He's a big star, damn it. He's going to get the big entrance.
But I think it made it better, though, to be honest, because come on, it's his debut. And imagine coming into your debut and not being able to like fully experience like the crowd energy and, the music and everything that goes into making a debut. Like, I personally think that he had to. Well, not had to because of like this, like he had to for the sake of making a debut come out to his normal entrance, but for the sake of the story, it was kind of silly to have him coming out dancing. But I liked it. I think at the end of the day, like it was funny, A lot of people were saying like, oh, that's a real brother. When your brother's getting beat up and you still take the time to dance.
Just as a correction as well, some people are saying in the chat, it's not a Doogie, it's a Dougie.
Oh, okay. Well, Dougie, Doogie, Ducky, sure whatever they're calling it.
It is spelled the same as Doogie Howser, so that's what
I just didn't know it had a name. My bad. I'm going to call it the Ducky.
But it's a Freebird dance. So anyway.
No, it's the Ducky, Luke.
Okay, so
actually,
my apologies.
If it was a ducky, it'd be like, no, that's a chicken.
That's a chicken, mate. Quite. You'd think I would know this because I've got a 6-month-old that I would be able to like do.
Yeah.
No, that's a chicken. That's a chicken dance. That's again like that's bending over and let me see you shake your tail feather.
No, this
like,
is supposed to be my duck butt.
You want to your duck butt?
That was my duck butt, and this is my duck neck.
You got your giraffe neck and your duck butt.
Oh God, I'm just an animal today. Well, I mean, we are animals, FYI.
At the end of the day. So anyway, let's get into the meat of this. Jeff talked about his erratic behavior. So the report at the time was that Jeff was doing a house show in Texas and he just left the match. He just walked out on the match, and that was the end of his time in WWE. They had big plans for him. He was going to head into a feud with Roman Reigns over the Universal Championship that was going to like give Roman something to do before he led into the Brock match at Mania. And WWE always saw him as a top guy. Like, he was the final guy for SmackDown in the Survivor Series match going up against Seth Rollins. And it felt like he was on the precipice of like a big top main event babyface run, albeit for a short period of time before they went to Mania. And then this thing happened at House Show and he was released. Everyone assumed that it was Jeff being Jeff. And I mean, maybe this is just because, so for our Patreon, I just recently rewatched Victory Road 2011, which is the show with the Sting match. And maybe because I'm doing so much reading on Jeff he was let go from WWE in the early 2000s because of his behavior. They said, go to rehab or be fired. He opted to be fired. He then went to TNA. He had his problems there. He was fired from TNA. He went back to WWE. He had his problems there. And then he left WWE and he went to TNA, back to TNA, where he was arrested on drug felony charges like the week after he got signed, and they still put the belt on him. And then the Sting thing happened. And maybe it's just because I'm reading up on so much of this at this point. There was like the whole, I mean, I don't know what you thought at the time when the news came out. It was just like oh man, I hope this is just not again. I mean, what were your feelings at the time?
My feelings at the time were legitimately just like, it's sad, but when you see a person constantly in the news for like, let's say like drunk driving or any of those things, it's just one of the things where you're just like, man, that person has a problem, and this is just now a pattern. And that was it. That was literally the extent of my thoughts. That was it. I was like, oh, well, he has a problem.
That's addiction, man. Like, addiction it's no joke. It's a hell of a thing. But Matt and Jeff were, saying that there's nothing here. Like, there was no drugs involved. And they even see, they've been challenging WWE to release the drug test results that they took on Jeff, because they know that they're going to come back clean. And WWE, like, they haven't released them. And I think that sort of says the fact that there was that report that came out that said that maybe they actually had jumped the gun on releasing him.
So let me ask you a question, though. In this interview, was Jeff asked why he walked out?
Yes. So here is what Jeff said. Certain things happen for a reason, and this subconsciously was one of the smartest things I've ever done, guided by something higher than me. He then goes on to talk about his time in WWE. It was weird.
So he didn't really answer the question,
I know he does, but he sort of he talks
okay.
about like what his time in WWE, like what led to this decision being made.
Okay, got it.
It was weird. I guess the best way I can describe my journey of the last few months in WWE was like glimmers of hope. Like, maybe I do something, and the last glimmer of hope was the Survivor Series that I almost won. And the crowd was so behind me, and I felt like it was one of the most popular baby faces in WWE. That crowd was so with me. And then other times, I felt like a ghost roaming the halls. Like, why am I even here? I don't feel important at all. I kept doing whatever they wanted, and I never had been a politician, so I'd never go out of my way to achieve a certain status. That night in Texas, I finished the heat, I took the heat, and then I thought to myself, I'm ready to go. I went into the crowd, and they naturally thought that it was drugs, but it wasn't drugs. And that was it. Apparently, his decision was just, he did his spot in the match, and then he was like, yeah, I'm done, and I'm out.
Yeah, and here's the thing, though. Like, when I first heard that he just walked out, instantly my brain went to like, oh, maybe he's not all there. And realistically, I don't feel like you can get blamed for thinking that, because it's not really like a rational decision just to walk out in the middle of the match. Like, it's not something that people do, at least that and not a common thing that people do. And I think at the end of the day, like, that is a little bit weird that he did that. But I mean, I don't know what was going through his mind of like, hey, that's it, Jesus, like, it's one of those things where, yeah, it looks bad. And I feel like, I don't know what the rules are, but I feel like the company could have literally just like released him off of that and been like, you know what, that was unprofessional. You can't do that. And hey, you're gone, Yeah. Versus like whether or not he had drugs or not in his system, then I mean, I think that will eventually come to light. But if they're challenging him, if they're challenging WWE, like, I feel that they're very, very confident that obviously there was no drugs in his system. So I feel like they know it. So that's why they're challenging them.
I think so as well. And I think WWE know that I don't think there was anything in his system, if only because, and maybe I'm reading too much into this. Maybe I'm off base here, but WWE wanted him back for the Rumble. They offered him a spot in the Royal Rumble. So, and that was that's January after the December when they released him. So, if he did have stuff in his systems and those drug tests came back positive, and it was like, oh yeah, he was loaded, and that's why we had to release him, I don't think they'd have offered him the spot in the Rumble.
But you know what this brings up, and I don't feel like anybody else is making this correlation, is that like I feel like with Jeff Hardy walking out, that eventually led to his release, right? It kind of sucks though when you think about it for people like Mustafa Ali, who is literally stuck in this contract, right? And he went about it the proper channels to try to get out of his contract and cannot. And it kind of does suck. Like if, Mustafa Ali was to show up to a show and just be like, you know what? Peace, I'm out, I'm gonna walk out. It would be like the unprofessional thing to do, but in a way, that would be what would get him out of his contract, because now, this has set a precedence for that. So it does kind of suck when I think about it, though. When I think about how Jeff Hardy got out of his contract, I think it's unfair for guys like Mustafa Ali who are going through those channels. Like, you got to think about it that way. Like, I don't know. It's something that pops into my head when I think about the way that the whole exit happened.
Poor old Mustafa Ali can't get booked on a show, though. He can't get booked on a show to walk out of.
He's done. Like, in terms of, like, I know, like, a while back he just tweeted, like, I'll see you guys in, I think he said 2 years or 4 years.
Yeah,
I forgot how many years.
It's like 2 years he's still on a contract.
That sucks, man. Like, I'm sorry, but I think about it and that thing, like, bothers me. I feel really bad for Ali, because it's just like, no, we're not going to get into that right now, because we can get into the whole argument of what an independent contract is. And like that it bums me out.
Yeah. Also a quick shout out. Morning, Andrew. Andrew Zarian joining us for this show. Lovely to see you as always. We've got a couple of other quotes here from Jeff. He said, it was just another unpredictable thing that I can do and get away with it. But it was more serious than that. It was one of the smartest things I've ever done, and it worked out perfectly. My first day in AEW, I felt valuable for the first time. The love I was shown, I just got chills thinking about it. WWE just felt like they wanted to keep me there to sell more action figures. Which is a very damning indictment of WWE. Matt chimes in to say, this is one of the things, though. With WWE, I could see Vince wanted a different career path for me, but I love pro wrestling, and obviously that was our dream, and that's why we've done this for so long, because we love it, and I feel there's so much value in older guys. But sometimes with WWE, it's just kind of Vince's mindset. Sometimes he just uses older guys like a cog in the machine to get other people over and sell action figures. You could tell right from day one that in AEW, you are valued as a human being, and also you're a value of being a huge star. Jeff Hardy, and also one of the greatest tag teams of all time, the Hardy Boys, it's immediately an issue. They treat us with certain respect and dignity.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, I feel like I get like there's certain guys on the roster that are meant to just be, those guys that help put other guys over. And there's nothing wrong with that. But but people like Jeff Hardy, when you've already had this like established career in WWE, or like such an iconic career rather, you don't put people like that in that situation. Because I remember this conversation that you and I were having in the past when I asked you, like, who, like, just randomly, like, who's the person that no matter what you always like mark out and like fanboy over? And you were like, Jeff Hardy. And I was like, oh man, like Jeff Hardy, like I get it, right? But I don't get it in this present time, because when we were talking about it, he was just jobbing left and right on Monday Night Raw. And it got to the point where when he would come out, it was like, oh, this is going to be a match that I don't care about. It got to that
exactly
point. Like, yeah, Jeff Hardy. Now it's going to be like, oh, I don't care about this Raw match.
He just came out and he was just, do my dance, I'll do my little claps, and then I'll play the hits, and then I'm on my way. Like, there was no passion or anything behind it.
Yeah. And so when you think about that, like that definitely sucks. And I think like especially when you've already proven yourself to be a star, you've already proven yourself that, you're willing to put your body on the line. I just feel like when you've proven yourself to do all of these things, you don't want to be treated that way. But then it's just like, man, I don't know. It's a hard thing to say, because at the same time, you're like, well, then why go back to the company, right? But I think at the end of the day, like every single person that you've wondered, like, why do they go back to the company, or why did they resign? Like, they always sound really positive about what is going to surround their career, and then it just never happens that way.
It's funny as well, because when Jeff got released, there were a lot of people that came up with that theory that he did it on purpose so that he would get released from his contract and he can go to AEW with Matt. And there were a lot of reports at the time. I think Sean put out a report. I think David put out a report as well that said that's not the case. That is not what happens. And I mean, even going by those quotes, it doesn't really sound like that's what happened. Like he didn't go into that show in Texas thinking, I'm going to do this and it's going to get me released. It was just in the moment he made a snap decision, I'm walking out. And because he walked out, WWE assumed something and then they fired him. So I don't think he did it with the intention of they will see my track record and think it's this. It was just, I'm just going to do this and see what happens.
I think it's more of just like, I can imagine it's more of I've had it. I'm done with this BS. This is shit. You know, that sort of mentality. Like that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
I'm done. This is done. I'm fed up. I've had it. I'm out.
And we've got the other comments that really jumped out to me from the interview as well is that WWE offered him, after they'd fired him, after they had offered him the Royal Rumble spot in January, they then offered him a spot at this year's Hall of Fame. And it was to go in as a solo act, not with Matt. It was just to go in as Jeff Hardy. And Jeff here said, it felt completely wrong. It didn't feel like the time at all. I almost felt offended. I was very emotional, almost felt offended. Like, wait, what? After my 90 days is up and the Hall of Fame is in April, I do go to AEW. How is that going to work? What are you trying to hit me with if I do sign with AEW when I'm free and I'm going into the Hall of Fame? How does that work? My mind and emotion went crazy. I was in tears. This is my career. I know I've been an influential person to a lot of young and misunderstood individuals, but it felt wrong. I almost felt like, how dare you, in a sense? You offered Hall of Fame. Yeah, you get offered the Hall of Fame, and it's like, oh yeah, of course, I'm a Hall of Famer. It's never really meant that much to me, the Hall of Fame, whatever it is. But it's not time for that. That's why I was like, it's a hard no. Especially because it feels like something Matt and I should go in together as the Hardy Boys when the time is right. It's just weird. I still don't know how I feel about it overall. It just felt wrong. Maybe I should have said, what if I'm in AEW at the time of the Hall of Fame? And Matt chimes in to say, I imagine they wanted to have you under a nice little contract where you couldn't have gone to AEW.
Right, or at least prolong that until, you know, whatever, maybe they changed his mind or worked on him a little bit. But it would just been so weird to see just Jeff go into the Hall of Fame. And that's not to say he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame in his own merit, but it's also like, come on, like when it comes down to it, the meat, the creme de la creme of his career in WWE was with Matt Hardy. So you have to have both of them go into the Hall of Fame together. It would have just been like weird. And it would have been the big elephant in the room of like, oh, well, the only reason your brother isn't being inducted is because he's with the competition now.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's, and I think that AEW let Billy Gunn go into the Hall of Fame as part of DX. And there was in the Observer this week, Billy Gunn took part in an A&E documentary about DX, you know? So like, I think it's, if they'd have said, I'm going to sign with AEW, but I'll still go into the Hall of Fame, like AEW would have been fine with it. It depends on whether WWE do. Like for me, when I read those comments, I kind of agree with what Matt was saying, which is like WWE realized they made a mistake in December. So they tried to bring him back for the Rumble. He said no to that. So now they try to bring him back into the Hall of Fame, sign him to a Legends deal, and that gets him back under contract with WWE, and now he can't go across to AEW.
100% right on those comments. Come on, let's be real. He's 100% right on all of that stuff. So yeah, I completely agree with Matt too in his speculation of what they were trying to do. And it makes sense. And can you blame them? Can you blame WWE honestly after like once they realized they messed up and they were like, shit, maybe we shouldn't have dropped the gun here. Hey, let's try to get them back. I get why they were trying to do it.
Yeah. Just for the those counting, that is 2 swears from Denise Salcedo on this show
When?
already. You just said
I didn't hear any of them.
You said, and I'm going to say it now, you said shit twice.
Oh my God. That's not even a bad word, Luke. That's not even a bad word. Technically, it is. Yeah, it's not a bad word.
I mean, you know, dude, I'm fine with it. It's not like I think it's okay. I'm just thinking of the YouTube algorithm. That's all I'm looking out for. See, even Andrew Zarian is offended, Denise, because you're swearing on this channel.
You know what? And I'm more offended by every single time I got to see Andrew Zarian's chest hair because he never buttons up his shirts. I am more offended by how much Andrew Zarian spends on his shoes. than I am by 2 curse words.
And do you know what? I say, Andrew, let the chest hair free. Such
See, how does that not affect the YouTube algorithm?
What, his sexy chest hair?
Yes, sexy chest hair is too much for the YouTube algorithm.
Apparently it's not. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's going to bring in more numbers for him.
See, that just bums me out.
So with Jeff now in AEW, what would you like to see from this run? Like we were talking about this on the AEW Dynamite review yesterday, that it's, there's various options you could go down. They're clearly doing almost a nostalgia run for them because they're coming out to the original Hardy Boys music. They are in their Hardy Boys gear, and as they're doing all the greatest hits Hardy Boys spots. But there's always that thing of like, does Matt bring back the Broken Universe? Do they want to do the Broken Universe stuff in AEW? Do you go for a Jeff singles run? What would you like to see out of Jeff? What would you like to see out of Jeff's run in All Elite Wrestling?
I honestly want to see just a bunch of like tag team dream matches. That's all I want. I just want to see like a string of, great matches with Jurassic Express, frick, I would love to see, Sting and Darby in there in the ring with them. God, who else? I'm trying to think. Like, there's so many teams. Like once you got Penta and Phoenix back together again, that's another one. Like there's, Santana and Ortiz, like literally all the teams. I just want to see them go back to back and have like all of these awesome, just a string of matches. That's all I want personally for me.
Would you like to see the Broken Universe back in All Elite Wrestling?
I think the possibility is there, so I would say yes. And I think because Matt is always, doing something a little bit different, I feel like it would be something fun to kind of like incorporate that, especially knowing that it works and people are a fan of it. Like, bring it in and you can do it.
I'm always on the fence with the broken stuff. Like, it worked in TNA, but
Yeah.
like TNA was like, it was a much smaller crowd, and that much smaller crowd was 100% behind the broken stuff. So that made it work and it made it feel really over. And I think if you then take that into when they came back for WrestleMania and the entire crowd is going delete, that is great because that is the hardcore of the hardcore fan base that are into this Broken Universe stuff. But if you do it in front of like an AEW audience, where you have got a lot more people than would have been in for Impact shows, and only 40, 50, maybe 60% of the audience are into it, it's going to feel really weird because that other 40% are like, I don't like this at all, or I'm not into this. I don't really get it. I don't understand what it is. And that creates a really weird atmosphere then, as opposed to what you're getting now is you have just got 100% of the viewers behind what Matt and Jeff are doing with that sort of nostalgia run. So I think, like, for me, I would steer clear of the broken stuff. I think it had its time and it was great for its time, but I think that it's maybe has had its day and we need to move on from it.
I think that they have the option. I think they could do it if they wanted to. And I don't think it would be like one of those things where it's like past its day.
Yeah, and perhaps I'm being really pessimistic about it. Like
yeah, you're just being a negative Nancy, Luke, and I don't like it. You're sucking the fun out of the room.
I mean, you're absolutely right. I am here to just suck the fun out of everything. Like, but I'm really excited for the tag stuff that they can do, like FTR, House of Black. Like, I think
I love how we went for like polar opposite teams. I was like, all right, we got to do like Jurassic Express. I want to see the Young Bucks in there, and you're like FTR, and I'm like, all right. Oh.
How do you feel about the Bret Hart teases with FTR?
I think it's interesting. It's interesting, but I don't read too much into like. I'm not the person that reads too much into teases. Like, I know a lot of people really like to do that stuff. I don't. I'm a wait and see kind of person.
Yeah, I think Meltzer said on Wrestling Observer Radio that they do want him, and if he does come in, he won't be a heel. So that's almost feels like why FTR have all of a sudden turned babyface in this feud with the Young Bucks. Like, I love Bret. We all love Bret. If it's a good version of Bret, like if it's a Bret that's into it, all for it. But if it's a Bret that is just there, like, oh, I'm just here to collect my paycheck, and I don't really care much about this FTR, and I don't really care. Like, if I don't want that,
I don't think you would get that. I don't think you would get that.
That's not the Bret I want. I want awesome Bret Hart. I want 1997 Bret Hart.
I think that if he were to come in and do something, it would be the best version of who he is right now.
Yeah, and also like with the Owen Cup coming up and everything, like I think it'd
Yeah.
be really awesome to have Brett on board with that. Let's see what you have got to say about all of this in our Ultra Chats. And Chris is kicking things off here to say, hey, Team Danuk, having heard from Jeff basically saying he worked the WWE system to get released, I'm wondering if if that has meant WWE will grant the releases of Ali, because Jeff has embarrassed them before and they were looking to get that. Do you think that Jeff's actions have indirectly meant that Ali and others will not get freed, like Tony Storm did? On another topic, we'll go into the second part of that. I suppose we were talking about that earlier, whether we're not sure if Jeff really did game the system in order to get his WWE release or anything like that. But yeah, on the subject of Ali, it's so weird, isn't it? Because I did the show with SP3 when Ali asked for his release, and I said they're going to release him because they have not got an excuse to not release him, because they've done nothing but release people for the last 2 years. And he said he'll be part of the Mania cuts, like the post-Mania cuts. And I don't know. And now I'm starting to think he's just going to be stuck there, because apparently, like, according to what Sean was writing, Vince sees value in him, but he's not actually going to use him.
I think if Mustafa Ali was anybody else, they would have let him out of his contract. But because they see this, I don't want to say what my real thoughts are here, because I just think, I'm sorry, but I think it's BS. I think it's BS what they're doing to Ali. I think it's fucked up. Okay. Oh, sorry. Now that's a bad word. Okay. But I feel bad. I'm sorry. It's messed the hell up. Okay. Think about that, Luke. Come on. It's not fair that, people walk out and they're free, and it's like, I feel bad because I think he went about it the best way that he possibly could. And it backfired on the guy.
The most professional way possible. I mean, like,
it's messed up.
Yeah, aside from like,
and I know there's people that are like, oh well, WWE could do worse things because they're still paying the guy. Bro, I'm sorry, but there are some people that don't want to just be happy there, waiting, collecting a paycheck when they're not fulfilling what they want to do with their lives. I'm sorry, and there's a lot of people that make the argument of like, oh, well, at least he's getting money. That isn't something that satisfies everybody. I'm sorry, but like, I just don't think that. That's something that, maybe some people will be satisfied by it. Like, I'm cool. I'm collecting a paycheck. I don't give a damn. Sure, then celebrate. But I just don't think everybody's like that.
If you look at the videos that he posts on Twitter, where it's like him working out in the ring and working out routines, that is not a guy who is just happy to sit there and collect a paycheck. That is a guy who wants to work. As a guy who's got a lot of creative stuff that he wants to do. That was like his whole thing that he was looking to do. The character that he had beforehand that Fox nixed. He was so ready to do it. And then it's like, he's got a lot to give here. And he's essentially just being held hostage for a few years, as drastic as a term that is, and I there's part of me that regrets using it. He is being held there, and I feel really bad for him.
Like I said, if he was somebody else, they probably would not have done that to him.
Yeah,
or
free
to that
Ali.
person.
Chris does continue here. On another topic, will we be getting a My Rise playthrough on 2K22? I'd be fascinated by your choices. Yeah, you asked this yesterday, or it might have been on the Raw show, Chris. We're doing my GM modes on 2K22 at the moment, which me and Pete are very much enjoying.
What is that, like general manager game?
Oh, it is. Yeah, you get your roster, you draft your roster together, and then you start booking matches.
Wait, is it like an app?
No, it's on WWE 2K22.
Oh, I don't play video games, so
I know you don't. No, I did an episode of this podcast about 2K22 with Matt McMuscles, and I was like, I don't think Denise will want to be on this show, so I got Tempest instead.
Please no. God no. Like, I'm not a video game person. If I do video games, it's like a one-time thing, and I won't touch it for like the next year.
Well, me and Pete are having a lot of fun playing my GM mode. We filmed some more episodes of the Monday Night War this past week, and we're having a lot of fun playing it. I have an absolute mare in episode 4 as a little tease for everyone.
I'm sorry, but me and Pete and Tempest had a better time.
Oh, I have not watched it yet.
You need to watch it.
Oh
my God,
you need
to watch it because I'm not kidding you. I cried in this game. I laughed so hard. You need to see what happens in the lewd round of the Smack Talk Showdown game on my YouTube channel where Pete, me, and Tempest all battle it out. You need to see this. I swear, Luke.
I'm going to be watching it after this. I've been really excited to do it. Like when because Pete left our recordings of Monday Night War because he was like, I'm going to go film with Denise. And I'm like, oh, you playing Smack Talk? And he was like, yeah, we are. And I was like, oh, that's going to be real fun.
You're never going to be able to look at Tempest the same ever again. Like he's going to change forever in your eyes.
I can't believe you didn't let Sean come back and defend his title, though.
Well, I was going to save him because I don't want to be hitting up. He's a busy guy. I don't want to be like, hey, every month come in and do this video.
Well,
so
no, we did
I
with
like to space out. I like to space out my favors, you know?
And lastly from Chris, it's just the question, where's Alexa? Well, Chris, they brought her back with no plans. That's where Alexa is.
Also, once you watch the video, you'll see what the plan is. I don't want to spoil anything.
Andrew Zarian here claiming that Sean isn't busy at all. I don't know. He seems like he's a hardworking man, but Andrew probably knows more than I do. I wonder if that's a scoop there. Actually, Sean doesn't do work at all.
Scoop.
Ten Rosa here. Jeff Hardy showing all these people who want out of WWE and never want to go back the game plan for a release. F the E. I hope Ali gets released in the post-Mania cuts. I got an email saying my Ring of Honor Club has just been cancelled. Interesting.
Oh, interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah. There was a note in the Observer today. Let me just find it. Because I also found this interesting. Let me just drag it across to the screen so I'm not looking weird on the camera. In an interesting story, damn it, okay, where is it? Sorry.
Together, Luke. You're
sorry. Well, I didn't know this was going to happen. In a story that may end up significant down the line to AEW or mean nothing, the shareholders of Discovery voted in favor of the merger with Warner Media. Discovery will be in control of the new company, having purchased stock from AT&T. The acquisition is expected to close over the next few months. The key here is that Discovery will likely be the company making the decisions regarding wrestling, which would include a potential streaming deal under the umbrella, as well as negotiations for the next AEW television contract when the current one expires at the end of 2023. Discovery CFO Gunnar Weidenfels said that at the time, Discovery Plus and HBO Max would be combined into one blowout direct-to-consumer product that should certainly drive healthy revenue growth for years to come.
That's definitely interesting. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's two parts of my mind there. Like there's one which is just like, oh, cool, because there were those rumors. I think actually Andrew was even talking about the rumors that there might be some HBO deal.
Always Andrew.
When he's not showing off his sexy chest hair, he's talking about business deals. That there might be some HBO Max deal down the line, and that's where AEW is going to end up. Like there was some thoughts that might have been Tony Khan's big announcement that he had before it was the Ring of Honor deal. But the other part of my brain is just like, oh, this is what killed WCW. There was a merger between two companies, and that other company did not want wrestling, and so they took wrestling off the network, and that is what killed WCW.
I just think we're in different time periods right now. So I feel like maybe like the second part of your brain, like I get it, but at the same time, it's like we're in a different time period now. So I think things are just a little bit different.
I hope so as well. As for Jeff Hardy showing people the way out, I think it might work once. I don't know it'll work for everyone. I think WWE might cotton on to these things.
All right. Well, let me ask you a question. You're a wrestler. You're on the roster. You're unhappy. What do? You see what Mustafa Ali did? You see what Jeff Hardy did. What do?
I am asking publicly, I can tell you that much. But I also think if I just leave a match erratically, like I don't think that's going to lead me to get fired out because I'll probably do a drug test on me, realize that I'm clean and be like, I'm just going to get reprimanded for that. And I might be suspended for 30 days or something. So
you just ask like privately, and if they say no, what do you do?
I would ask privately. And they say no. I was like, well, when the next round of cuts comes, can my name be part of those cuts?
Yeah, but then they're going to be like, nah, screw this guy. He wants to get cut from our company. Nah, he's staying here. Like, I would be petty about it. Like, if I was in a position of power, I'd probably be like, you know what? Luke wants to leave, so screw that. He's staying here.
And I'd probably end up in that cycle. Where I was like, how do I get out of this situation? I've asked politely.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, what do you do? I'm just asking. There's no right answer. I don't have the answer. I'm just trying to pressure you.
Interestingly, and I know I'm bringing up Andrew a lot here. We might as well just bring Andrew into the show at this point, but it's just here. WWE is convinced that AEW is ending up there. HBO Max is just put in the ability for streaming live, which will include pay-per-views in the future.
Dude, first of all, I'll just say this, like, HBO Max, if you're gonna go and do like any of these, big streaming sites, I feel like you got to do like HBO Max, Amazon Prime, or like Netflix, because those really are like the big ones. None of these like little rink-a-dink ones. Like, there's some rink-a-dink ones that got like nothing on there, and somehow they got like millions of subscribers. And I'm like, how? And I'm like one of the subscribers, because I subscribe to all these apps, and some of them suck really bad. Okay, like they got no content and they're charging you like $5 to $10 a month, and there's like no content whatsoever. But if you're gonna do this, it's got to be with like a big deal streaming service. And right now, like with the there's just like so much competition. Why not get live? And obviously they're already doing live sports and all of that, and you can include wrestling in that conversation, I think.
Yeah, I don't know because I don't have to use it, but I have heard that the Bleacher Report app for like streaming AEW has not been great. Like we just do it over Fight, and Fight's grand.
Yeah, it's not that great. I've used it, and because that's my only option for these pay-per-views. I've used it, but I've heard that other people have had issues. I haven't had like a major issue with it, so I mean, I'm okay for the most part. But like, logging on to their website and just trying to buy like the tickets for the show has been like a little bit like, you'll click on something, they'll send you to an article, that'll send you to another article, that'll send you to an article, and you're like, well, where do I get this? Like, it should not be this difficult to buy a show. That's my big pet peeve with Bleacher Report or BR Live, whatever it's called.
That's why Fight TV is the way forward. Fight is a great service. If I can,
I don't know. People get their complaints about Fight TV too.
The only thing I can ever complain about Fight is the chat is the worst.
Can you take it out?
I mean, yeah, I just full screen it and just ignore the chat. But the chat on Fight is dog awful. It is the worst of toxic fandom. It is disgusting.
Oh, it's like pervy stuff. Yeah, I've seen. When I had to like when I had to watch SmackDown not on Fox Sports and I had to go watch on those websites, I couldn't get rid of the little chat. Oh, there was some stuff on there where I was like, who are these people? It's so bad. It's so bad.
It is awful. But if I can, if you'll permit me, Denise, I'd like to do some straight shooting of my own on a streaming platform. Impact Wrestling, get your streaming services sorted out. It is a nightmare to use. It is dreadful.
Plus?
It is a nightmare.
I never have issues with them.
Oh my God, it's hard to sign up for. It is hard to then navigate to the thing that you want to navigate to. You search for Victory Road 2011. What does it take you to? Do you want to watch this week's Impact? No, I want to watch Victory Road 2011. That's not the worst of it, Denise. I'm paying $8 a month for this thing. And do you know what I get?
What?
Advert. 5 adverts. 5 non-skippable adverts at the start. And
I don't get any of that.
Oh my God. Maybe it's just in the UK here, but like I get Weight Watchers adverts. I get one about Paddington Bear. I get one about these kids like pajama things or anything.
Right, you have Hulu. That's how Hulu is. Like, you pay for like no ads and you still get the ads, like regardless. I love Hulu, but I hate Hulu.
Here is the absolute worst of it though, Denise. So you get those 5 adverts at the start that you can't skip. That's about 4 minutes worth of just sitting around and waiting for a pay-per-view to start. If you pause the stream, it plays those 5 adverts again.
No.
It doesn't actually pause the
I'm starting
video.
to think you downloaded the wrong app. That never happens to me.
And it just plays those 5 adverts again. And and do you know what the worst thing is, Denise? One of them has got James Corden in it.
Woo! And you know what's funny? Ever since you said that you hate James Corden, I didn't really care that much for him before, but now I like him a little bit more just because you hate him. Like, I like him now a little bit more thanks to your hate for poor James Corden.
James Corden is the Fight TV chat of TV personalities.
What? But he's funny.
No,
Did you ever see the video of him where he holds Billie Eilish's tarantula? It's so funny because Billie Eilish has a pet tarantula and she makes him hold it and he's like, nope. And then he has to hold it and he's like, Billy, take the tarantula, Billy. And Billy just walks out. He's like, Billy, this isn't funny. Take the tarantula. And the tarantula is in his hand and it's starting to crawl. It was funny.
I'm sure it wasn't staged at all.
It's a freaking hairy, big ass spider on your hands. I don't care how much you stage that. That is terrifying.
I mean, you know what? Eric Rowan's one didn't seem that scary.
Oh, come on.
Matt Carney here said AEW has brought in people that have either left a positive or neutral effect on the company. They have yet to bring in someone who has left on a truly negative effect. If Jeff is that character, would Tony be able to be the stern father and punish him? We were sort of talking about this actually because we were talking about Victory Road 2011. So the people are asking why have I subscribed to Impact Plus. I was watching Victory Road 2011.
Also, hold on. There's a lot of their monthly pay-per-views. I see a lot of people complaining about how they want real wrestling on TV and they want more wrestling, but there is options out there. Go check out Impact Plus. Their monthly pay-per-views are phenomenal, and a lot of people are missing the boat on those.
They really are, but also sort your streaming service out. Specifically in the UK, apparently. Apparently it's a UK-only issue, but it's a localized issue, and I'm sick to the back teeth of watching James Corden said, the possibilities are endless. Fuck off, James Corden.
I'm going to book James Corden versus you at my WrestleMania. Watch. Death match, too.
He wouldn't show up, and if he did, he'd be a diva about it. But yeah, like I'd like to think that AEW and Tony Khan here have got like some smarts about them, and they wouldn't have brought Jeff in if they thought Jeff was going to be a problem. That is like, perhaps I am being naive in this scenario, but I'd like to think that's the case.
Well, we'll find out.
And Legit Underboss here says, Ali is a better man than me. I would be super petty by going on Cameo and Twitch and doing AEW watch-alongs.
I think I would be like a nightmare. Like, I feel like once you've already established, like, you're not getting what you want, I would just be like the bad kid in the scenario. Like, I would always be going on Twitter and being like, nah, this and that, blah, blah, blah. I would be like that uncontrollable mad child. Like, mom didn't let me stay up past my bedtime. Well, you know what? Now I'm going to raise all hell. So yeah, bless Ali.
Tyler Robinson here. Do you think if Bret Hart joins FTR, they will mention him having his back at the WWE Hall of Fame?
Wait, repeat the question.
If Bret Hart does join FTR, do you think they'll mention him having his back at the Hall of Fame? You know when Bret Hart got tackled?
Oh yeah, I was there for that actually. Yeah.
Oh, you really?
Yeah, I was there.
How was it there live?
It was what I'm trying to remember, but it was one of those things where like, or had I left already? No, I was there. Sorry, I'm blanking right now. I'm trying to remember if I was there or if I was there after it happened. Never mind. I'm having memory confusion here for a second. Yeah, because I was there at that Hall of Fame and I did the show, but I don't remember now if I left before. Because that was the same day as the MSG show. And I went to the MSG show too. So I'm trying to remember if it happened in between when I left. Yeah, I did both.
Oh, wow.
I went to the Hall of Fame. Both? I'm Hollywood Salcedo. I did both. I went to the Hall of Fame. And I also went to the MSG show.
Weren't they on at the same time?
Hall of Fame was on, the red carpet was on a little bit earlier.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Okay,
so I did the red carpet, and then after that I came and I left and went to Madison Square Garden for the MSG show. So yeah, so then I wasn't there. No, I wasn't there. I was there at the event, but I left before the actual thing happened.
I've told the story like a million times on this podcast, but it never fails to make me laugh. We used to get a lot of people criticizing us for only ever doing live stream reactions to WWE shows or only ever reviewing WWE shows. Bearing in mind as well, this is before AEW was a thing. And that's it. You're a shill. You don't review anything else. So we did live stream reactions to the Ring of Honor New Japan Supercard show at Madison Square Garden because we were legit super excited about it.
And no one watched.
Well, no one really watched. And the only people that were watching were actually coming in to tell us what was happening at the Hall of Fame.
Well...
It was
it. Put a disclaimer on now.
That's how we found out that Bret Hart got attacked.
Do you still get that?
No, when we do AEW streams, like people are mad into what like our AEW content is more popular than our WWE content, like in terms of viewing figure wise.
You shill.
Yeah, I know, right? Even though Ollie Davis hates it now.
Yeah, Carol. What does Ollie Davis hate?
Oh, so we're doing this running gag at the moment because he has some mild criticisms against AEW. Everyone now just assumes that he hates AEW.
He's Dan Lambert now.
Oh yeah, he's Dan Lambert. Like, so I'm running it into the ground that he just hates everything AEW, and we're just bringing it up after every
people that are going to buy that and be all crazy about it.
Oh, I know. You know, in the
Good
same way
luck,
that people
Ollie
like,
Davis.
you know, they're like, oh, I'm an AEW shill. I'm also a WWE shill at the same time because I liked an episode of Raw once. But yeah, like it was funny, like that Bret Hart thing. We had that as a running gag for a little while as well. Like, did you hear Bret Hart got attacked to the Hall of Fame? Because we got loads of ultra chats about it. People being like, did you hear about Bret Hart? And I was like, yeah, we did. Everyone's told us already.
By the way, just FYI, you are what people want you to be. Okay, if people want you to be a WWE shill, that's what you are. If people want you to be an AEW shill, that's what you are. People only see what they want to see. Tip for everybody.
Switching gears ever so slightly, this was from Roberto. This was on yesterday's Dynamite show. Shout out to Roberto yesterday for last week setting up our Thunder Rosa interview. He said, hot take here on Control Your Narrative. It's Raw Underground Dallas, nothing but a boiler room.
I would not go anywhere near that, so I don't even want to know.
Did you read the rules?
I skimmed through them. It was just like, I don't really feel like reading this. Like, I saw it and I was like, I feel like I should know about this, but I don't really feel like I skimmed. I was like, 1, I'm bored. 2, okay, fast forward 10. Okay. But I did see the part about them basically saying nothing of what the Young Bucks do.
That's exactly it. Yeah, it's just like no super kicks, no Canadian destroyers, even though you
Which
control your own narrative and do whatever you want.
I was gonna say, doesn't that defeat the purpose of control your narrative? Like, if your narrative is, hey, I just want to do a bunch of like super kicks, then that's who you are. You should be able to do you, right? So doesn't it defeat the purpose?
Ollie has got my favorite take on this, which is it's so bad it has to be a work. Like, it has to be like they know it's bad and they're doing this on purpose.
So I don't think so. And like, I remember when I first saw their announcement that they were starting a promotion, I was like, oh, you know, how exciting. Good for them. You know, they're taking matters into their own hands. That's nice. And then I kept seeing all this other stuff coming out. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's for me. Tenraza here said it
you
gets
don't want to
30...
pay. Wait, you don't want to pay for the VIP room, or what's it called? The VIP room where you get to like yell at the wrestlers.
The rants room.
Yeah, you don't want to do that? Come on, let some anger out, Luke. Let your anger out.
I've got nothing angry to say against EC3 or Adam Scher. Like,
no,
I've got nothing
like whatever you're frustrated about in life. Like, let's say you got a high, like let's say your baby isn't letting you sleep, or you got high bills to pay, or that one thing that you couldn't fix on your car. Go out and yell about it to EC3. Damn it, the freaking car. I couldn't take my trip because I couldn't put the damn thing together.
I was going to say, that's about the only thing I could think of is that damn roof bar that I can attach to this car.
The like, roof bar,
EC3? Swedish Lego system thing that wouldn't actually fit on my car.
There you go. See, let out your life angers. Oh, God.
Do you know what? I hope they're happy, and I hope that they're having a nice time with their little fun promotion. I'm sure they're having a grand old time with it.
Are they drawing people? Like, are people going?
I haven't discovered Blues Clues. They've been done one show, haven't they?
I have no idea.
Well, we'll see. Tenrose said, it gets to 35, 40 degrees Celsius here in Australia during Christmas, so no onesies here. Who on the roster do you want to get released that you know will be okay and better on the outside? Counting down to Quizzlemania again, Denise needs to sing on that show one more time.
Nope, I'm done singing. And I don't like to answer this question because it's like, I don't want to wish anybody losing their job, but for the sake of just being a part of the argument, I'm going to go with Ollie, just because he wants out. Yeah, he wants out, and he's clarified that he wants out.
That's same for me. Yeah, like I don't like to see anyone lose their job, even if you know that they're going to be okay on the other side.
Right, and a lot of people are. At the end of the day, if you are willing to, I'm gonna be like Kim Kardashian. If you want to work and you're gonna go out there and you're gonna work, you will make it happen.
Well, if someone knows about hard work, it's Kim Kardashian, isn't it?
Absolutely. I feel bad. You know, it's funny. Like Kim's okay. She said nothing wrong. It was just that it was coming from her. Because it was coming from her. She was not the person to be out here saying, work hard, this and that. I get it. Work hard, go out there. I get all that. But it just wasn't Kim that was supposed to be the one saying it, you know?
Yeah.
So
it was
I don't feel bad for her though, because I have my own beef with Kim.
What's your beef with Kim? What's she done to Taylor Swift?
Oh my God, Luke Owen. I cannot even believe you just asked me that. Please go back and watch. Please go and learn about pop culture for a second.
What do you mean, go learn? Okay, right. I'm going to do a quick.
Jesus Christ. Like, go watch some of those videos, please. There is just too much beef between Kim and Taylor for me to even begin.
Oh, is it a feud with Kanye? Okay.
Oh, how do you not know this? Do you live under a rock?
Because I don't care. Like, that's why I don't know this. And also, here's from 26th of December, 2021, Kim Kardashian ends feud with Taylor Swift. So maybe you're the one who's hung up on something.
Nope, that's not the way it worked. Nope.
Yeah, because I don't care. I don't care, Denise. That's why I don't.
Well, that's
know.
how I feel about video games and game boards.
I'm not having a pop at you for not knowing about board games and video games.
You give me a bunch of hell for not knowing about this stuff.
When
all
did I give
the
you?
time.
I do not have a pop at you for not knowing about board games. You're not into board games. That's okay.
Yes, you do all the time. But this is like, okay, but to be fair, these are things that people are out talking about in society. Like when you go out and you're like surrounded by people, people are talking about the drama. People are not talking about Dungeons and Dragons.
Denise, I can tell you categorically they are not. Because I've had conversations with people and it's never come up in conversation.
Yes, a bunch of times. Okay, when you go out with your friend, well, at least my friends, and like people and adults, and just like overall, like if I go somewhere and I talk to people and I make small talk is like celebrity stuff.
It isn't in my circle of friends. It really isn't.
Okay, well, mine is beyond my circle of friends. It's like people just here in general and other places too. Like that's the one thing you can always talk about is what's going on like celebrity pop culture news, you know? Like you can always find somebody to talk about that with. Like right now, do you even know the drama between Kanye and Kim?
No, I do not.
Oh my God. I hate these people and even I know everything.
I don't know. Like, are they a couple?
I can't. Oh my God.
Like,
they're divorced now, and Kim is with that Pete guy, and there's like all this drama, and Kanye is losing his mind.
Pete Quinnell? What's Pete Quinnell doing on this?
Pete Davidson, that one guy that apparently every girl likes except me.
Pete Davidson, he was fun in Suicide Squad.
Sure, but I wouldn't date him just because he's fun. But apparently he's like the guy that gets all the girls. Like he's been with Ariana Grande, and I forgot that one other girl, and then Kim Kardashian, and then like apparently he's like hot stuff, but I don't see it.
Okay.
But I shouldn't be talking right now because I look like crap. So
you look tremendous, Denise. You always look tremendous. Brett J. Rasmussen says Bleacher Report sucks. What happened to me is apparently that I have different accounts. One on my phone, which is different to the one on my computer that I can't use on my Xbox. Somehow I had to buy it twice. Denise is right. Buying the pay-per-view is a hassle.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Dragon Death Cab says, any theory about Control Your Narrative being self-aware ended when they signed Austin Aries?
I don't know what to say.
Yeah. The Legit Underboss says, Denise is a pop culture nerd ranting away.
Yeah, you should have seen. I went at it hard at Pete the other day on our WrestleTalk podcast. I felt bad because he came in with like a stance because we were arguing about something, and then I went on like a 20-minute rant about why he was wrong. I don't think he's ever gonna do a show with me ever again. Well, if I tell you we're gonna argue about it right now, and I don't really feel like arguing about it right now, I can't replicate the same rant.
That's okay. It's fine. Is there anything in pop culture that I really need to know about?
I mean, like, no, I guess not. I mean, like, it's just, no, but I'm just trying to say, like, it's everyday, like, stuff, you know? Like, I just don't know how you're not seeing this. Like, even if you're not interested, it's there because every single media outlet and their mother is covering it. So it's hard to avoid.
So,
like, there's things that you just see.
There is an easy way to avoid it, though. Like, I watch the news, and it tells me, like, the news stuff, which is dominated by Russia and Ukraine and all that sort of stuff. And then my Twitter feed is basically just people telling me about wrestling news, video game news, and like.
Do you not check like trending topics? Do you not follow like media sites?
No, I do not follow any media sites.
Okay, see, I follow media sites. Like I follow all of these, you know, all of them. Well, most of them.
And that's fine, which is why I don't digest any of this because, like, I'm not getting any of this news given to me.
But you should, though, because if you're living under a rock, that you're not part of society.
Not at all, because, like, not a single person
has ever said... Then you're going to be hard to talk to.
Denise, not a single person I interact with has ever said to me, man, what's your take on the Kim Kardashian, Kanye West drama?
Well, please be prepared whenever you're planning to come to Los Angeles, because you're going to have an opinion, okay? Or else people are going to look at you and be like, ooh, okay, without giving too much information, I have a friend who's going to stop dating this guy because he's like a Kanye West nut. And by that, like, it just shows so much of your personality. Like, who you're a fan of says so much about who you are. And this guy's kind of a little bit of a nut. Like, he's really like defending how Kanye West is so possessive over Kim Kardashian. And my friend was like, what the fuck? You know? So like, yeah.
Yeah, just drop a
We
last
live
little
in
swear
two different worlds. We live in two different worlds.
And that's absolutely fine. You know, if you want to come to me and talk to me about Ghostbusters Afterlife, please be my guest, because I will happily talk about that for an hour.
I can't. And I don't even like these people. This is the worst part. I don't even like or care about these people, yet I know about them.
And that's your problem, not mine. Lastly, before we get out of here, thank you so much for watching this show, which actually is sponsored by the WrestleTalk Podcast magazine. Issue 40 is going to be available digitally. Now, this is very interesting. So the WrestleTalk magazine, it's a very, very cool magazine. We're very, very proud of everything that we've done with the WrestleTalk magazine. It is always going to be available as a physical thing, but we're doing a very special new launch for this. It's £1 for the digital version of issue 40. Just one singular Great British pound. And it's going to be that way for a little while here. If you pay £10, you're going to get your whole year's worth free. But yeah, just spending £1 a month helps support us here at WrestleTalk massively. We've come up with the most affordable way to buy this WrestleTalk item, because we did a survey amongst our viewers, and the reason why people said that they don't tend to buy the WrestleTalk magazine or buy merchandise or anything like that is because they can't afford it. So we thought, well, let's make this a quid then. So we're selling this at £1. And we hope that you really do enjoy it. We've got some fantastic articles in this month. Dave Bradshaw takes you through like the history of WrestleMania, like where WrestleMania takes place, including some very interesting things here, like Madison Square Garden, how it started in 1874, and it links to P.T. Barnum. So fun facts you there. And this is the one I'm really interested in reading as well. Do you remember when Charlotte was having her beef with WWE? And there were even stories going out about like how she may leave and she may go to AEW, and she had trademarked Ashley Flair and all this sort of stuff. There's a whole like history article being written, like it's in the magazine, about like what happened there and kind of charting it. And I'm really looking forward to reliving that time. So please do click the link in the video description down below to get your copy of WrestleTalk magazine. It's available for £1 Great British pound. Denise Salcedo, you and I both interviewed Thunder Rosa recently. Have you got anything else that you would like to plug? I would highly recommend people go and watch your interview with Thunder Rosa. I watched it ahead of my chat that I had with her, and I thought it was excellent. Also, look at you dropping the scoops this week.
I was about to say, I got 2 videos that I want people to check out. One, if you guys want to watch that Joey Janela interview, you guys can. And then 2, the SmackDown Showdown video, which is myself, Tempest, and Pete. You will cry of laughter. Guaranteed. Crying of laughter guaranteed, or your money back.
Is that a real promise?
Yeah.
Okay, there you hear it. You hear it. So Denise Salcedo was going to give you cash if you didn't cry with laughter.
No,
so.
I said your money back.
Oh, because no one's spending anything. You see, she is smart. That is all we've got time for on this edition of the show. We'll be back tomorrow. Pete and Tempo T Yu-Gi-Oh! Will be reviewing SmackDown and AEW Rampage. Then next week, it's a special lineup. Pete and Andy will be reviewing Raw, because Ollie and I are doing a super secret project that we're not allowed to tell anyone about. We'll be back for the
You're getting married.
Well, which is going to be very difficult. I haven't told my wife yet. And we will be back together like a Renegade Masters on the Thursday AEW Dynamite review. But until then, Denise Salcedo, thank you so much for joining us. As always, go follow her on Twitter, everyone. Take care, everyone. I love you. Jam that jam.